After all that, they wheeled me to post-op where I had to stay for like, I don't even know. I felt like forever. After, you know, she was out and everything. They don't normally do this, but they were taking my boys home, or my husband was taking my boys home. And this was in the middle of the night, by the way. It was, I don't even know. I don't know what time it was. Whoops. It was late. It was in the middle of the night at this point. And they don't normally do this, but since I was the only one in there, they let my boys come back and say bye to me. And my husband, I don't know, one of them was asleep. After they did post-op and everything seemed okay, they brought me back to my old room and they're like, okay, we'll sleep. And I don't even know if I slept, because I'm just like, can I get an update on my daughter? Like, can I please get an update on my daughter? And like, they're like, okay, well, she's fine. She's starting to breathe a little bit. Yay! She's starting to breathe on her own better. And they asked me, I don't even know if they asked me if I told them, but I was like, if she's hungry, please give her formula. Like, I fully planned on breastfeeding, but I wasn't gonna let my daughter sit up there and be hungry just because I wanted to breastfeed my daughter. Like, I'm just like, just feed her. Fed is best. Do what you gotta do. Make sure she's fed, please. And by this time it was morning. The sun had come up and I'm like, are you gonna send my daughter down? I think it was like 5 hours after I had her. I hadn't seen her in 5 hours. So I'm like, I would like to see my daughter. She's doing good, so I would like to see her. And they're like, okay, well, they said she's coming down now. 45 minutes later, I'm like, is there something wrong with my daughter that you guys are not telling me? Like, is she dead? Like, what, like, the communication was awful. And I'm like, no one's telling me anything. Well, then they're like, okay, well, they said because of the medication you're on, which was the magnesium, you know, you're very fatigued, you're weak, like, we can't just come up and leave her with you unless, you know, you have somebody with you to help you with her. And I was like, oh, well, then you should have said that. Like, I'm like, I didn't know. What do I know? So my husband finally gets here and I'm like, thank you, my husband's here. Now send the baby in. And finally, after like 6 hours, I got to hold my daughter. And it was such a mix of emotions because, like, I didn't get to bond with my baby after birth. I didn't get to, you know, be the first one to feed her, hold her, anything. Like, it was just, it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking, but at the same time, I was very thankful because she was okay and I was okay-ish. My blood pressure, they told me even before I went in for my C-section, they're like, the only thing to cure preeclampsia at this point is my battery's dying. The only thing to cure preeclampsia, whatever, I don't know exactly how they said it, was to give birth, to have the baby. So I'm like, okay, well, the baby's gonna come out and I'm gonna be fine. Perfect. No, not for me. I had postpartum preeclampsia. I don't know if that was due to having high blood pressure that wasn't treated the entire time. I don't know. But my blood pressure, it wasn't as high as it was, but still, like, reading into 170s and stuff. Like, what is going on? Still on magnesium. And also, like, there was a video that I had taken in the hospital, which I had posted, where obviously you retain water when you're pregnant and then after you have the baby. Well, this magnesium stuff made me swell so bad. I looked like, oh my gosh, I don't know, Shrek. Like, I was huge. I was swollen so bad. And also, I didn't gain a pound of fat during my pregnancy because it was all water weight. Because about 2 weeks after I had her, 2 or 3 weeks, I was back at my pre-pregnancy weight, and that never happens to me. Like, I gain weight like crazy. Like, I eat too much when I'm pregnant. So finally, after a few days, they moved me up to the postpartum room because I was getting up and moving, which, oh my god, they put like a tourniquet around, not a tourniquet, they put something around your stomach to help you get up after having major surgery. I couldn't even get up. Like, the first time I almost passed out, and then yeah, I didn't move much. It hurt very bad. I've never been in that kind of pain before. It hurt. I mean, they cut through your muscle. It hurts to try and do all the things that they did. I don't even remember how many days I still had my catheter in, or that I had my epidural in. It was a while. Oh, and the next night, because of the magnesium stuff, I had a horrible migraine to the point where I was like, I felt like I was having a stroke. Miss Drama Queen. But no, my head hurt so freaking bad, and they finally gave me like Benadryl, and that helped, and it like knocked me out. By the way, Benadryl is great for migraines. Moved me up to postpartum, and there in postpartum, I had the most amazing nurses, like the most amazing nurses. And this was a brand new hospital, by the way, so that was also a blessing. It, like, there was a big delivery room, but the postpartum rooms were not teeny tiny. Okay, I'm back. I had to change my battery. Say battery. So yeah, I was up in postpartum, and at that point I could be left alone with Addison. They stopped the magnesium, and they started giving me blood pressure medicine, and they started giving me Precardia, and then that was not really working that well. So on top of, oh, and then they started, no, I think they stopped the Precardia, and then they started giving me Labetalol. Well, then it didn't start, that didn't really work, and they just tried a bunch of different stuff. And of course, like, I'm like, I would love to breastfeed, so whatever you give me, please let it be breastfeeding friendly. If they couldn't get my blood pressure under control, I wasn't going to be stupid. I mean, I would just have to take whatever medication and formula feed my daughter, which was fine because, you know, living is the most important thing. But it was so frustrating. I was there for like, I don't remember. Sorry, my daughter fell asleep while nursing, and she's making a really weird noise. I don't remember if I was there 7 or 8 days. But normally, I think after having a C-section, you're there for like 3 days, and depending on complications, of course. But I think after having a baby vaginally, they only keep you there for like 2 days. And it's probably different everywhere, but obviously they wouldn't let me go because my blood pressure was so unstable, and I had, you know, not only had I had preeclampsia, or I might be saying it wrong, it might be pre-eclampsia. That's probably what it is. I'm probably saying it wrong the entire time. I apologize. But I had preeclampsia, and then which turned into postpartum preeclampsia, because God knows why. So it's very frustrating, but at the same time, I'm glad I was there. I'm glad that they wouldn't let me go until they found the right medication, till my blood pressure was low enough, till my body was reacting to the medication the way that it should. Now, there was oh yeah, the first like 20 minutes that I had been in the postpartum room, I went to the bathroom, and usually they have like this like hat thing. It's not literally a hat, it looks like this, and you know, you pee in it, and yeah. Well, I sat down and I went pee, and I felt something just fall out of me. This is TMI. This is TMI. But I felt I felt something just fall out of me. And I'm like, did I have another baby? Like, what just happened? And I look in the toilet and there's something in there, but I couldn't tell what it was because also, this is just all TMI, by the way. It's bloody. It's just bloody. So I tell them, I'm like, hey, something fell out of me and it fell in the toilet. And they're like, oh yeah? And I was like, yeah. Well, they forgot to put the hat in. It would have originally caught it, but they didn't. So this poor nurse. She had to reach inside and grab it, and it was a blood clot. And it's perfectly normal to have blood clots and stuff. But I think they said the size of a tennis ball is too big. This is bigger than a tennis ball. A blood clot that was bigger than a tennis ball. It's like, all right, well, let us know if you have another one. And they did whatever with that. It's so gross. So then, yeah, I'm there for, I documented some of it and I made the best of it. I'm like, well, I'll just take pictures and take videos of my daughter and, I'll document as much as I can. It got to the point where it was depressing. And then on top of that, like, all this stuff started happening. The air conditioner broke at my house and, like, my poor kids are sweating and it never ends. Sorry, I'm like hot. I really need to put my hair up, but I'm like, I'm actually wearing my hair down. I had some visitors. Some people brought Addison clothes since we didn't have a baby shower. We didn't have the money for a baby shower. We didn't know what we were having. So everyone that brought her baby clothes, thank you very much. They brought her newborns and size 1s and she didn't fit in any of those. So my older sister, who, oh my gosh, she's amazing. I told her, I was like, she doesn't fit in any of her clothes. Like, she doesn't fit in anything. And then on top of that, she kept having blowouts. And I'm like, I don't have a washer. I don't have a way to, like, wash these clothes. Like, I feel so helpless. And so she went and she bought her some preemie. Brought her little preemie clothes. Oh my gosh, I'll have to show those. I'll have to do an update on Addison or something, and I'll bring them out. Right now, she's asleep in my arms, so I can't really do that. But yeah, I loved it. I loved everyone that came to visit because it was very lonely. I had amazing nurses and there was a couple that really stood out, and I need to try and go visit them. That would be amazing. I just gotta get a car first. Anyway, it would be amazing to go see them, but one of the nurses, like, she was one of my night nurses, and I think I got her like 3 or 4 times. One upon request, which was amazing. But she just talked to me about life and made me feel amazing. Like, I want to be friends with her. I need to find her so I can be friends with her because she was so amazing. And then another one during the day, like, she would like, she made me get out of the room. She made me walk around. They took Addison every morning to do like a baby check, a well check, and she's like, get up, walk around, like, baby will be back in a little bit. And like, I felt dizzy, so it was hard for me, but she was awesome. I had a really good experience there, and they said that they were gonna send me a survey, and they never did, and I wish they did because I had a really good stay. It was just an unfortunate situation with my health, and yeah, but sorry, I'm all over the place. So there was another time where my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law came to visit, and I'm like, can I please take a shower? Like, please, can I take a shower? Like, every time, like, I'd try and take a shower, like, my husband either couldn't come, there was a problem, or even the nurses would be like, oh, like, I'll hold your baby while you take a shower, and then somebody else would have some complication, they couldn't. I mean, it sucked, but I was like, please let me take a shower. Like, I am nasty, I'm a greasy mess, like. So I handed them Addison, and I went in, And I started to take a shower, and something else fell out of me during the shower. So I had to pull the cord, and the nurse had to come in, and yeah. So there was something else wrong. There was something else wrong with me, and they that night nurse that I had spoke to my doctor, and she's like, you know, I think we need to check her platelet count, because I think that they're low. And sure enough, they checked it. It was low, and I had to get 2 or 3 units of blood. I had to get a blood transfusion. So, oh, and they had to stick me like 7 times because my my veins would just kind of like roll and flatten out. Like they could not get me, and that sucked. They had to get one of those light things and like shine it over my arm to find a vein, and they finally got me. And then yeah, it was a hard stay. It was a very, very hard stay. And they even like, they started putting me on antidepressants because they thought I was depressed. And I was like, well, if you were in the hospital for this long and you just had a baby and you just want to go home and be with your boys and just, you know, hearing that my kid, like this guy right here, was watching my videos watching our videos on YouTube, and that's all he did. He hardly ate, he hardly spoke, he didn't do much except sit down and watch family videos where I was in it because he missed me so bad, and that was heartbreaking. I even had an anxiety attack because of that. Like my husband told me that, and they like made my family leave because I was having an anxiety attack, and I'm like, but that's the whole reason I'm having it, because I'm not there for them, and now you're making me leave, or you're making them leave. So yeah, finally, after all of that, they gave me a mix of Precardia and Labetalol, and my blood pressure was good enough to go home. My nurse actually like ran out of the room to find my doctor, and they released me. And my doctor had even like that day, he had come in and he was like, you're still here? And I was like, I'm still here. Yeah, after that, you know, everything was fine. I mean, as much as I want to point fingers and blame, there's really not enough that doctors or anybody really knows about preeclampsia. They don't, I mean, the basics, to give magnesium, blood pressure medicine, just what didn't work for me might have worked for somebody else. Like, have the baby and then you're fine. But it didn't work for me. And had I not listened to my husband, had I not, you know, I had a voice for myself and really spoke up more, then maybe it wouldn't have been that bad. But the fact that when I did speak up and the doctor just shut down the idea because, I don't know, maybe because I brought up the blood pressure thing and she didn't, I don't know. But make your doctors listen to you. If something's wrong, speak up. And if they're pushing you, you know, your ideas around, get a second opinion. Because that's what I would have done if I'd used my brain. The whole reason that I'm talking about this is because there's some people out there like me that have these problems, have had these problems. It's a very traumatic experience. For the longest time, like, I mean, I still sometimes, like, I love watching Grey's Anatomy, and like watching the couple, there's like I think there's like 2 things where the women have preeclampsia or postpartum preeclampsia or eclampsia, anything like that. Like, they both died. And obviously that's a show. It's not real life. But I just want to be, you know, I want to help raise awareness to this. And I mean, there's got to be, more done about this, and doctors need to take their patients seriously and not do the wait and see, because the wait and see almost ended my daughter's and my life. I still don't know what caused the bleeding in the first place, but if I were to guess, it was probably blood pressure related, and it was probably the placenta tearing away from my uterus, which could have ended my daughter's life. There are babies out there that do not survive this. There's mothers out there who do not survive this. There are mothers out there that their blood pressure is fine until they're postpartum, and they have postpartum preeclampsia and they don't know it, and they just end up passing. Like, this is serious. Blood pressure is the silent killer. And this isn't to scare anybody, because I've had 2 healthy-ish pregnancies to where, you know, I only had gestational diabetes, and that was something that I could handle. My doctor, they don't know enough, and they need to know enough. And I love hearing other people's stories, because I don't feel like I'm the only one. And I hate that anybody else has gone through this. I hate it for anybody who has lost their child because of this, or there's been serious complications. I am still taking blood pressure medicine. They've even doubled one of my doses. So I don't know if now I just have high blood pressure, or one day it'll go away. I'm trying to lose weight. I've lost, let's see, I think I've lost like 15 pounds since I gave birth, or had Addison. Hey guys. So I just want to do a quick little ending to this video. I know it was long, I'm sorry, and I was a little bit distracted and an airhead, which, what's different? But that was taken in June of 2018, and now it is October of 2018, so I just wanted to kind of update you guys on what's been going on. Stop. I'm in front of a shower curtain. I really don't have anywhere else to film, so I'm just kind of here. So I had my one of my medications increased, and then I started having problems with my blood pressure being really low, and then at times like it would go up and down. I even had an instance when I was laying in bed and I felt like I couldn't breathe. So I took my blood pressure, and it was like it just kept going up and up and up and up. Like I kept taking it over and over. So yeah, I couldn't breathe. I was dizzy and everything, and then like I was like, we got to go to the emergency room. Like I could barely even see. Like, not that I was blind, but I just had like blurred vision and everything. So I went to the emergency room. They took my blood pressure, and it was like 170 over 110, I think. And yeah, I had chest pain too, so they did an EKG. The EKG came back normal, and I was okay, besides, you know, having high blood pressure. But they monitored me, and I had the guy that was originally taking care of me was awesome. And then I got this nurse that she had no bedside manner. She was rude. She asked me what medication I was taking, and I told her. I even brought the bottles. Like, I just grabbed them because I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna remember, but you know, I brought them. And she, you know, I told her about that I was taking the labetalol and the nifedipine, which is like I think is a generic form of Precardia. And apparently I find out later that my battery's dying.
Then?
Hold on. Okay, so I find out that she didn't put in my nifedipine, which if something happened and I needed to take any kind of medication that mixed with that could have been really, really bad. So yeah, she was awful. That was the first bad experience I've ever had with that hospital. But yep, it's my shoe. But I did a follow-up with my doctor, and I told her about how my blood pressure was like normal to too low, to the point where like I couldn't even function. And at the time when I was at the doctor, it was like 120/80, which is it's good. It's not the best, but it's good. And she was like, oh, I really don't want to mess with anything. I'm like, but you don't understand, like this is white coat syndrome, which if you don't know what white coat syndrome is, it's pretty much like your blood pressure kind of goes up when you go to the doctor because you get nervous and all that. So she had me do a chart, and then I brought her the chart back, and she's like, yeah, I see it's like all over the place. But the last time I was there, I also forgot to mention all the other symptoms that I had been having, so I wrote it down on a sheet of paper. And I could already tell, like, they were kind of like, okay. But, like, I had forgotten all this. Like, I wasn't trying to be, like, a hypochondriac. I was just like, hey, these are the symptoms I was having. I don't know what they were related to. And I also brought up, I was like, could this possibly be something other than postpartum preeclampsia or anything else? Like, my daughter's over a year old, and I'm still having problems with my blood pressure. I've lost over 20 pounds. I'm doing everything they're telling me to do, and I'm just like, why am I still having problems with my blood pressure? So I brought up like secondary hypertension, and she's like, I doubt it. Okay, well, you doubt it, but you know, what are we gonna do about it? Like, I don't know. But she went ahead and she ordered a blood test, and she said that she was doing one to check my kidney function and some other stuff. Well, come to find out later that she did a drug and alcohol screening, and some of you are like, you're overreacting, and and some of you are like, why did she do that? Because I don't understand. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, and I don't smoke cigarettes. Like, I used to vape, and I quit using nicotine just because it could raise my blood pressure, and I don't want to deal with these blood pressure issues anymore. So I was a bit upset about that because she didn't even mention it, and they ask you at the beginning, do you drink, do you smoke, do you do drugs? And no, like none of that. I don't know. But she did actually take away one of my pills. So instead of taking labetalol in the morning and a labetalol and nifedipine at night, she's having me skip, I'm sorry, they're gonna fight and cry. Skip the labetalol in the morning, and so far my blood pressure has been really good, and hopefully this is the process of weaning, because I am just done. But yeah, I think that's all I have to update on you. Sorry this video is so long. Thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for watching, and I will see you for my next video. Bye. Hold on, I forgot to mention. They actually did call me back with my blood results and told me that I'm having mild kidney dysfunction. I don't even know what that means. I'm of course worried about that. Don't want anything wrong with my kidneys, but yeah, that was one of the things that I forgot to tell you, or that she had called and told me about. So yep, mild kidney dysfunction. Yeah, that's my update for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.